All right, good afternoon, Tappy 670. My name is Cadet Martin Smith. I'll serve as the Ops Group Squadron Commander for this semester. New cadets, we welcome you. Returners, welcome. I'd also like to congratulate the field training graduates. You all know how excited I am and proud of you. I am of you all. Once again, congratulations. Enjoy the privilege of having a chance to come see Max Cloud graduate. In addition to such, 400s, get ready to graduate. We're almost done. 300s, like I said, congratulations once again. 200s, it's almost time to get prepared. It is time to get prepared for field training, so stay on your P's and Q's. In all regards, 100s, new freshmen, we encourage you to hang out or stick around with us. It's going to be an exciting semester. We have a lot planned for you all. Feel free to inquire of anything of the cadets here in uniform. That means they've been here at least a year. So feel free to do so. We're here for your resource. Make sure that you're getting the best experience possible out of Air Force ROTC. First thing we're going to do is go ahead and get you all started. Lieutenant Colonel Charrington is going to have a word with you all. Undivided attention. He's an Oklahoma State alum, so welcome him as you would, as he shall receive. Without further ado.
Well, again, as he said, I am an alum from here, and so I'm still following or figuring out my way around the new campus because it's somewhat different than it was 18 years ago when I went through here. And from the gray hair, you can probably tell that I'm a little bit older. As with any Air Force briefing, this is how we're going to do it. You know, say tell you what we told you. So you should get it after telling you 3 times. So here's the overview of what we're going to do. This is who we are, and do little introductions. You probably, at this point, are wondering what qualifies me to be up here. Basically, we went through an application process and 18 years, and they said, okay, you won the prize. You won the $1 million question, and you got the gold meeting. So, give you a little bit of how I got here. As I said, alum from here. Graduated in 95. I didn't start off the best possible. It took me 5.5 years to get through here with an aerospace engineering degree, so I feel some of the pain of engineering guys that are going through. Dr. Reno was just getting on station when on campus. When I checked in, he is a great resource for the engineering guys. I was also a member of the Pi Kappa Alpha fraternity, so in juggling all of your different things that you're going through as far as campus life, hopeful military or ROTC life, and then all of the other aspects, jobs, paying for school, studying and all that. I feel your pain. I've been here, I've done it, I survived it, so I am sure that you're just as well equipped, or if not better, knowledgeable of how to do that. So, moving along, I got my commission out of here. Started out as aerospace engineering, went out to Edwards Air Force Base, worked with the SR-71 and the replacement for the space shuttle. And if you haven't guessed, there's not a replacement for the space shuttle. So, the program I worked on got canceled. We saved the money, or saved the military $2 million or $4 million. I don't know what the OPR says, but really we wasted $200 million and canceled the program. So not everything you're going to do out of here is going to be successful, but that was written up as a success, and I got picked up for pilot training out of there. Went to Columbus to do my pilot training. As soon as I told them that I wanted to do something with special operations, they said, gosh, we have a helicopter volunteer right here. So, no, that's not exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into gunships and kill things and, break people and blow stuff up. Right, you're a volunteer for helicopters. So, went off to Mother Rucker and joined the Army for a little bit, and came out of there with a payload MH-53 SWAT. I was one of the 2 guys that was pipeline through that year. At the time, to get into special operations, it was 1,000 hours of some major weapon system to assess to be accepted into special ops. So when I was not welcomed with a very warm welcome, I was the outcast guy, yet again, to you don't know anything, you don't have any experience. Fought through that, volunteered to work on weekends and fly all missions that nobody else wanted. 6 months into that, some guys decided to fly their planes into the World Trade Center, kind of like this is fly. But found myself on the ground in Jacob, Pakistan, wondering what had I got myself into. So be careful what you wish for. I wanted to do nothing about the mission, but once the mission was there to hit me in the face, it was really dusty and hot. Came with some diseases that chalked up as a weight loss program, and it was meant to be a joke. There we go. So was on the ground there, hadn't talked to my wife and kids for 2 or 3 months, and then they brought me back and said, gosh, you're pretty good at this, so we'll keep sending you. After 10 deployments between Afghanistan, Iraq, Haiti, Djibouti, Africa, Mali, Dakar, a bunch of other places that you're not going to know where it's at on the map. They brought me back, said I need to be a little bit smarter, sent me to the Naval War College to get a master's degree in something that I'll never use, but brought me back to the headquarters staff, put me there pushing paper and doing a lot of PowerPoint. I do not have my PowerPoint Ranger tab, so did not want it, didn't like it, I'm not good at PowerPoint. They said, well, I'll let you go learn how to speak Indonesian. 6 months of Indonesian language training, tested out, and they said, you're fluent, but we're not going to send you to Indonesia anymore. We're canceling that program, so we're going to send you over to be a flight test pilot. You're a rotor head, so you know how to go up and down instead of fast, so they put me over on CV-22 Osprey. So, yeah, it's perfect fit. You know exactly what you're doing. Never flown it, didn't know much about it, but I was the Office of the Secretary of Defense oversight for CV-22 testing for special operations. I had no knowledge, but they threw me in it, did that job, and they finally decided that there was no need for an Indonesian-speaking CV-22 test pilot in the Air Force, and they released me to come here, to come full circle, to come back and try to impart some of a little bit of knowledge or experience that I got on you guys. And hopefully that is what we can do over the next year or two to better prepare you to not make the same stupid mistakes that I did when I came on active duty. When you walk in the door at your first base, you don't ask where the CBPO is, because that's not what it is any longer. It's called something completely different. SS or...
Correct. Force Support Squadron.
There we go. Acronym help CBPO.
Consolidated Base Personnel Office.
So she is not quite as old as I am, but she does know all the acronyms and is here to help me not make me idiot of myself. So that is me in a nutshell. I'm sure it doesn't match up with all the lies I've told everyone else. If you've heard this either from the first day of welcoming or in the 400 class or some other time, but I'll continue to build on that, add 10% to it, and make it better each time. Without further ado, Captain Moffat, for all of you who haven't interviewed or known him before.
All right, Captain Moffat, I did not go to school here. As a matter of fact, it took me 12 years to get my degree. So, just a little bit behind you, sir. I was enlisted first, 12 years enlisted, did some F-15 avionics, working on electronics, cross trained in the Space Command, did a little bit of space stuff, decided I wanted to become an officer. So finished up my degree, got accepted to OTS, spent 12 weeks in OTS to learn what you're learning in 4 years. And got out of that, went back to Space Command, did some pretty cool missions in that. Spent a few more years doing that, worked for the National Reconnaissance Office, NRO, right before coming to here. And now I'm here flight commander. So anything that you guys have that you need help with, work through your chain of command, but I will be your point of contact for that. I'll also be the recruiting flight commander, so I'll be attending a lot of the recruiting events across the country, across this part of the country, Oklahoma. And if you're interested in helping with that, filter your name up, and I always use help with the recruiting part, especially on campus, because we're all recruiters, so when you're walking around in uniform, you're going to get questions asked of you. So the more you know about the program, the more you know about ROTC, the better, because people are going to ask you about it. So that's me. I'll be teaching AS 200 and 300. Boss will be teaching 400 and 100. That's it. Sergeant Jordan.
I'm Sergeant Jordan Pell. I'm in charge of the NCO's office. Basically, that's the administration office. That's the office that does all the paperwork. As I stated to the cadets when you first got here and the 100s this year, that's the office that does the paperwork to get you to where you want to be. My job is to make that as seamless as possible. So if I send you an email or a suspense for something, you need to do it as quickly as possible. Your attention to detail becomes my attention to detail. If you don't care and you take forever to get it to me, I will take forever to get it back. I've been here at the detachment for 4 years, appreciating every cadet, being enthusiastic about every cadet commissions, because that's just one more year that I'm closer to leaving. I care about you as much as I could possibly care for a cadet. And also, me and Sargentos are your NCO representation. Because when you go to the Air Force as a second lieutenant, you're basically going to be in charge of NCOs. So if there's any question that you have in regards to how you need to conduct yourself with an NCO, or what the proper protocol is in regards to addressing cadre members, via email and or in person, please ask me. I want you to ask me a question before you make a mistake. Is there any questions for me? Okay, right now y'all have in front of you the fitness questionnaire. The questionnaires have to be accomplished by everybody every semester. This is basically saying before you actually do a PFA, a physical fitness assessment, or a physical fitness diagnostic, that you are capable of doing so. For all of those cadets who have as of yet not completed a DOMER, please raise your hand. And you know you haven't completed the DOMER because you don't know what the DOMER is. I have additional form for you. Yes.
Well, she's passing that out. There's one missing individual that you can see from our list up here, Sergeant Vientos. She's off doing additional training right now. If you haven't met her, she will be doing all helping
Yes.
Sergeant Jordan and doing all of the uniform issues and computer.
Sergeant Vientos is in charge of uniforms. As you can see, 100s, you are currently not in a uniform Air Force issue. You are in a standardized dress code. That's basically up until your physical fitness diagnostic. You also will be wearing a white t-shirt with black shorts to PT. Once you actually pass successfully your physical fitness diagnostic, you will be issued a PT uniform. Next semester, if you're still here, then we will issue you your blue uniforms. Sergeant Vientos is your first point of contact. As she indicated in the newcomers briefing, She's your initial point of contact. Always CC me on everything. Same thing if you're sending it to me, CC her on that. Because once again, we could be in and out of the office. And we want to make sure that we take care of you as quickly as possible. The physical fitness questionnaire. I've already put a date on there, and I put your office number. So there's no need for you to actually fill those out. I just need for you to answer the questions appropriately. Whatever the answer is, just circle it. And then turn it over and sign the back. For those individuals who have not completed a document as of yet, I need you to go and get a sports physical completed. You can do that by going to your primary care manager or the health office here also does that. For those individuals who do not belong to OSU proper, you can also go to your health care place on campus. They can actually do that for you. For those individuals who've never seen me before, that means you need to complete paperwork with me. For those individuals who are not here, please get with email Ms. Murray to set up a date and time that you can come in. For those for ORU, it's usually Thursdays, so you just come an hour earlier so we can get that paperwork completed. Yes, sir. Physicals have to be done within the first 30 days of school, but you cannot attend PT until you have this done. I am at PT. I keep asking you to tell me your name so I will know your name with your face. Do not show up to PT without signing that form and bringing it back to me. That's sports physical.
30 days is the latest.
Yes.
Get it done as quickly as possible.
And if you do not have it within 30 days, you are removed from the program. Yes, Mr. Weber.
Do you know if the medical center here on OSU campus do they take walk-ins for the physical? Or do you have to make an appointment?
To my knowledge, you have to make an appointment. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, your name?
Cadet Lower.
Yes. Stand up, please.
Excuse me.
Stand up, please.
For some of the qualifications for the physical,
Yes, ma'am.
if you do not meet some of the requirements, will you be on probation?
Yes, ma'am. If you don't meet your underweight or your overweight, you have a semester to get it together. For the most part, if you're showing progress, if you're 5 pounds overweight and you're showing progress, and at the end of the semester, you're a pound away, you're still good with us. That's showing that you're actually working towards that. But if you are 5 pounds overweight, underweight, and then comes the end of the semester and now you're 10 pounds overweight, underweight, that means that this really isn't for you. So we're all about motivating cadets to better themselves. So let us help you help you. Any questions? No. No. Okay. Thank you.
So we got all the introductions, and again, we're here, we can't do this program for you. We've already passed this at some point, and we've already got the uniform, been doing it for a while. So we are here, our charge is to produce a second lieutenant. It's your job to do that for yourself. I can give you all the tools by telling you, you need to do this many push-ups and this many sit-ups, and you need to run this fast. But unless you have something inside that you want to do, I can't do it for you. Very good. Okay, so we got the introductions out of the way. The next thing on the list, as you recall, was precautions. As you can tell, we're using this to get a lot of pictures One of the things is to cover a lot of these things in case that you don't know, or you have questions on what the Air Force's sexual harassment policy is. Common sense, which I'm a big believer in common sense, you can be as book smart as you want to be, or know the regulations and everything, but common sense will tell you that sexual harassment or assault is not going to be tolerated. Whether, however you can think, if you wouldn't want it done to you or your sister or your mom or your grandmother, don't do to somebody else. Don't think about saying any derogatory comments about any type of sexual nature. If you haven't paid attention to the news, which you have probably in Iraq or something, but in the DC area, does anybody know the guy's name or what he did for a job that has highlighted this to the Air Force and the world? Nobody watches the news. We'll go with you. So, okay, from now on, the proper way to do this, when we call on someone, yes, raising their hands, but if you haven't noticed, some people sit down. In any other military forum, what's going to happen, whoever the speaker is, person raising their hand to answer, they're either going to get a microphone or they're going to stand up, identify themselves, what their name is, rank, and what flight they're with, and then ask the question. Is that easy? Good? And because strangely enough, you can sit there and speak in a nice calm voice, but you have that 2 feet of hypoxia that happens when you stand up. People tend to lose the train of thought, and it does not come out of their mouth because they're thinking in the brain. So you're up.
Kevin Laughlin, Alpha Flight. Sir, I believe you're referring to General Petraeus at CIA.
Well, that would be one person. That's not the exact one I was referring to. Anybody else have any other names that they'd like to throw out? Something to do with an acronym SAPR, which is, let's see, acronym list, sexual assault, prevention, and SAPR. It used to be started, it used to be something else. Basically, it's the sexual assault prevention. You don't do it. So, go.
Sir, Cadet Conley, I believe it's Lieutenant Colonel that is in charge of sexual assault at the,
That is the one I'm referring to. Good job. His specific name is Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Krasuninsikiti. Yeah. He's not going to be Lieutenant Colonel anymore. He was the guy in charge of the SAPR program, and he assaulted a female in a parking lot after he had one too many tasty beverages, and he decided to get a little touchy-feely. That doesn't work. That doesn't, not going to happen. And if it does, he has brought that to the forefront, and you will be out of the military and probably going to jail someplace. So, is anybody have any, now, of course, with everything, there's a regulation. And with every regulation, there's got to be a policy, because that policy is going to say, I use this regulation to enforce the policy. Shouldn't need to have a policy letter, but if there's a regulation out there that you're not going to know about, it's in the policy letter. And if everyone received an email from Ms. Carroll, you should have a copy of the regulation. Which item number 2, which probably didn't bring with you, but in the FROTCI 36-2011 paragraph 1.2.7.3.3, I'm not going to remember that either, but it basically says zero tolerance. That means if you are brought up on charges, there is a perception or somebody does not like it, there will be an investigation. At the end of the investigation, it's probably not going to be favorable to one of those 2 parties or multiple parties. So if there ever becomes a question of, hey, what's the Air Force policy, or what's Lieutenant Colonel Cherry's policy, or what should any of your policies be about sexual harassment or assault against any other individual, other person, somebody you don't know, somebody that you think, in 5 states away from here, what do you think the policy is going to be? Zero tolerance. It's not, don't do it. The Air Force is currently in a drawdown situation. We're limited on budget, we're limited on resources of every nature, so the way that we're gonna do that is we're gonna start chopping things and people. For the ROTC program as a whole, we sent 2,300 cadets to field training this summer. They are projecting 1,550 to 1,580, depending upon what statistic you wanna see, by FY15. That means fiscal year 15, 2 years from now. They are chopping 2,300 down to 1,550. That means the opportunities for you guys to go to field training and come to the Air Force are dwindling. So do not be a volunteer by doing something stupid like sexual assault or harassment. Everybody clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Outstanding. Moving on to the next one, civil involvement. That was a little bit easier. Simple policy, 72 hours. If you get in trouble with Payne County, Highway Patrol, Stillwater Police, Campus Police, the OSU Parking Police, you get a parking ticket, you get a warning, anything. It's easiest to go ahead and identify that I got a warning for parking over here in the handicap spot and I'm not handicapped. I'm not sure, I'm not singling anyone out, not trying to hurt your feelings, but if someone has done that, you should probably need to tell Sergeant Jordan, Captain Moffett, myself, someone within a 72-hour time frame. If it happens over a break, say Christmas, summer, or something like that, first time you come back, which most of you filled out a form, anybody? Except for you. Anybody know what form you filled out to identify?
Cadet Lacey Charlie Flight, it's the Form 35, sir.
Outstanding. Yes. You should fill out a Form 35 and say, I was caught doing 100 in a 75 and pulled over. I got a verbal warning because the person felt sorry for me. Come tell us, because it will show up on your record. Stupid stuff I did here at Oklahoma State University is still on my top secret clearance at AFSOC headquarters. AFSOC, Air Force Special Operations Command headquarters. Anytime you go for any type of clearance, it will be in your records. I don't care if they say it was expunged because you were 2 years old. It will come up in your records. So, civil involvements. Let's see, somebody back row in black shirts. How long should it take you to come in and identify that you have had a civil involvement with the Florida Highway State Patrol?
Guys, spent less than 72 hours.
Outstanding. You are on Easter weekend. It happens right as you're leaving here, and it's now 84 hours down the road. Black shirt, top. Nope, next one. The one that's lunch.
I'm going to eat the bread.
Stand up.
How long?
State your name.
Cadet Seal. Charlie.
Sound pretty confident about that.
72 hours.
Or since it's been on break and it's been 84 hours, when you come back, let somebody know. So there shouldn't be any question. But there is a question. We have one back in back with Sergeant Jordan.
Yes, I'm Sergeant Jordan Pell, Flight NCO office. If you're actually on break, something to that effect, you can still email the cadre office as soon as it happens to let us know. And then when you return from break, the first day, you'll sign the paperwork. Email exists. I know y'all got phones. I know y'all be Facebooking and all that. So you can email one of the cadre members that something's happened. So that 72-hour rule stands.
There we go. I guess in the world of email and texting, you can text through your chain of command, let your wing commander know or someone and get that information passed on.
If by chance you don't have a phone, no computer, then it would be the first day back.
Because carrier pigeons don't work anymore.
Exactly.
So, we got sexual assault and harassment, civil involvement, so those are all covered. I'm gonna try to expedite this. Drug and alcohol use. Yes, there are some of you that are not 21. So, if I ask you to hold my nice tasty beverage that would be vodka at this point, and you are 20 years old, and I go, hey, watch this for me because there's people out there dumping rubies into this stuff, will you watch this for me? What do you think? I have no idea how old you are now for the purposes of this demonstration.
He's not
You're
21.
20 years old.
He's not 21.
Well, you're 20. For the purposes of this demonstration, you're gonna be 20. I'm gonna run out here to the restroom. I'll be back in 2 minutes. We're at a party. It's going insane. And this cat right here, he looks like he has some rickets. Will you hold that for me and take care of it? Absolutely not. Come on, man, please. Good answer, because if you are caught holding a drink and cops bust in, it can be in minor possession. And in minor possession, you just became one of those volunteers of 800 to not be in the Air Force or this program any longer. Possible. There are some outstanding mitigating factors, but more than likely, you will become a volunteer to be investigated and not to be in the program any longer. Sergeant Jordan?
Also be aware, especially at the stadium, this can happen. So don't even stand next to somebody's beverage, because if security comes around and they ask you if that's yours and you say no, they presume you're lying. So just be aware.
Again, I went to school here. I was 21 and I was under 21 at some point. And fake IDs, all the stuff that you use to get around to get alcohol. Again, we're not going to come in and follow you around. I don't have time to do that with each one of you to see if you're drinking or not. But if you get caught, you will become most assuredly investigated for being a volunteer for not being in the program. Drug and alcohol, sexual harassment, they have a no tolerance. And going back to our handy dandy policy letter, item number 6, let's see. That's something that we still need to cover. Again, I'm not going to read out the entire thing. You have a copy of it, but it also says that since you are a member of this program, you've already filled out Form 35, and all of you understand that any type of drug use from this point forward, you will identify. If you don't, and you come up and it's commissioning time, and you go, hey, I forgot to tell you, I've been dropping acid over the weekend, or I went back over Christmas break, smoked a couple joints with my buddies, you just became a volunteer. On that, again, and all that paperwork you probably didn't read through or skim through like I did whenever you're signing all that stuff, there's a statement in there that says, I will not use drugs from this point forward. If I had drug use in the past, I've identified it on this form. So does anybody have any questions about handing somebody one of my alcoholic beverages to hold for me? If I hand you my joint and say, you're allowed 5 times to be experimental, but you've already signed that form. No. This point forward, you said I'm not going to use drugs. Don't want people that could be impaired by any type of drug use, or now, I'm getting there. An example of this, if I don't have a picture, then I like to tell a story and give an example, and I tend to get long-winded, but I'm going to race through this one. Special Ops, they sent a small group of us down to Mali in a group of 5 people, and one of our guys gets trashed. He's 21, matter of fact, he is 42 years old, senior master sergeant, but he's going through an we don't have any support or aid there other than a sat phone. How do you think that affects the rest of us on that team? We now have to stop what we're doing and take care of that individual, find him, get him out of whatever gutter or situation he's in, take care of him, and everything's on delay. That is why, even if you are 21, you should have the common sense about you and the wherewithal to understand your limitations. I know for me, over 200 pounds, I can drink 2 1-ounce alcoholic drinks and not have blood alcohol content above the legal limit. I also know that if I'm not driving, I'm going to ride a bus home where I have a ride. Once I get to about the 10 to 20, I'm probably way past my judgment, and I should not be at that. It's not setting a good example for you guys, it's not setting a good example for the Air Force to the community, and it's not setting a good example for my kids. So at some point, yeah, you're going to go out and have a good time, party. Not saying you can't do that. Saying use your head, use the common sense, and good judgment. Sergeant Jordan.
What's the role on prescription drugs?
If your name is not on the prescription, again, it's covered in the policy letter and all of the AFIs and regulations, but I would say if your name is not on that prescription, don't take it. That's, again, common sense. Oh gosh, this is my wife's Adderall. Something like that, I think. Basically, she has ADD and takes medication for it. I'm like, I heard that will keep me awake and help me get through all of this paperwork. If I've got that in my system, as soon as they come up and they go, hey, Colonel we're going to need you over here to do this random drug test. Oh, it will show up in my system and I am done. So if your name is not on the prescription, don't take it. If you feel that you need some medication, Claritin, Nexium, those probably all of you may need those, but any type of controlled substance, if your name's not on it, don't take it. Even if you got a bag of weed that's got your name on it. Common sense should apply. And if you have a guess, some of the way that we help you guys learn here is in impromptu stand-up, answer a question, even if you're the guy who, I know. Well, okay, we got it, you know. So we're going to call on somebody that's got their head down and give you an opportunity to excel by standing up and speaking in a forum, because that is what we are charged to do in the Air Force. Maybe get called up to the Pentagon as a brand new second lieutenant and brief them on why the SR-71 is still flying when the program has been canceled. Well, we need to do this test, sir. Okay, but you gotta get up and speak to the two-star general. That was one of the first things I did. If we don't do this, when you're not used to it, this is the learning environment, and we are doing you a disservice. So in that preparation mode, let's go with Cadet Smith. You're in charge of all this stuff. Next on the list, why don't you give us a quick down and dirty on the honor code and what it means to you, and to not leave you completely high and dry, or to leave you completely high and dry. I had a little sheet here that is 2 pages on the honor code. But
He did. He's a POC. That's what y'all do.
let's give you a 2-minute impromptu on the honor code for Air Force ROTC cadet.
All right. Good afternoon, Master Sergeant Jordan, gentlemen. Detachment 670, my name is Cadet Martin Smith. Today I'll be speaking with you all about the honor code within that of Air Force ROTC. Anyone, feel free. Cadet Gavin, would you mind telling us what the honor code is?
The honor code is as follows: we will not lie, steal, or cheat, nor tell anyone against anyone who does.
He is correct. That is verbatim, correct, from start to finish. steal nor cheat. Not even from a moral perspective, but just from a team-based understanding as well. We're a team, and it's not just Air Force, it's military branches all within one of themselves. Lies, stealing, or cheating, from a moral standpoint, it's not healthy. It leads to more lying, stealing, and cheating most times. So don't do it. Do not do it. It doesn't turn out too well to get caught. It's all the worse. Yes. Question. There words.
I'm gonna say.
Jeff Walker, you have a question up top there? Jeff Walker?
Cadet Faulkner, Alpha Flight. Cadet Smith, can you give us a situation or kind of evaluate more on the toleration clause? Because sometimes that tends to be a little bit of gray area on that.
Thank you. Toleration policy. Toleration also includes, and correct me if I'm not going the direction that you were looking for me to direct myself to, but toleration also includes allowing your comrades, your friends, your family, if they're within our runway of Air Force RTC, to lie, steal, or cheat. So if you know someone's lying, you know someone's stealing, you know someone's cheating, and you know about it, chances are you'll get nailed too. So encourage each other to make sure we keep our morals intact. Volumes are that high. Is that what you're going?
Yes, sir.
You're going towards. Today I spoke with you about lying, stealing, and cheating. The honor code. Give you a definition. We've spoken a little bit about its ramifications as far as team-based and moral. This concludes my briefing. Are there any questions?
Absolutely, a real-world example. I had a maintenance troop that was working on an aircraft. He did not have the proper bolt. It was going to take approximately 2 hours e-tick, which, again, I don't know what that is. It means you're going to be delayed for 2 hours while they go and find the diesel part or whatever. And he picked up a different bolt that did not have the same tolerances, stuck it in my tail rotor, and he was there with someone else. They signed off on it. They had 3 or 4 maintenance people. They said, "You're good to go." We started to take off. As soon as we start to run up, the tail rotor spins 2 to 4 times faster than the main rotor, depending upon the amount of gas you got going into it, and it threw that bolt straight through the cockpit, through the windscreen, and left a hole. And when you hear something go and leave a little hole, kind of like, I don't think that's supposed to happen. So in that example, guy cheated the system by not waiting, doing the proper maintenance, used a substitute. People around him tolerated him, and then they all lied about it. They all ended up with Article 15s, and the one guy lost, he went from a 7 level down to a 3 level and sent back to training. So yeah, he wasn't kicked out of the Air Force, it wasn't that egregious, but it still had the opportunity to waste a $52 million helicopter and some lives. Luckily, no one was hurt, so we lived through it, but they're a perfect example of real world. In this environment, again, cheating on the test or saying, "Hey, I don't know, I don't see you looking at my test," or "You need some help on that. I'm trying to help a buddy out," but it's doing them a disservice, doing you a disservice, everybody around you, by not having them up to specs, not helping that individual learn the information that we're trying to impart. And it's everyone around you that is going to fail because of that. So any questions on the honor code or why we try to live by it? You're wanting to be in the Air Force, and whether you like it or not, the perception and the reality is that you're going to be held to a higher standard. Every day I walk on this campus in this uniform or that uniform, even when they don't see me in uniform, there's enough deans, other campus faculty, other campus, you guys, there's so so many of you, I have no clue whether I've seen you or not on campus. But you see me over there smoking a joint, cutting up, doing something stupid, you're taking notes. Everybody is. You are the representation of the Air Force to the community here in Stillwater. Whether they don't know the difference between the cadet rank, this rank, that rank, all they know is you're in the military. And they will not be able to distinguish you between the Army and the Air Force when you're in your DCUs, that's ABUs. They will when you're in your blues. They put a name on the blues now that you're in the Air Force. What are you doing that? You are held to a higher standard whether you like it or not. You gotta live up to it. So, to cover some of the academic freedom, safety, and suicide awareness, we have Captain Moffitt that has a special presentation for you on those.
That's all I've got, so. All right, so academic freedom, we talked about it, we talked to my students about it today, but I'll just reiterate. Academic freedom is talking about if you're in a classroom environment and you're stating an example, we all need to feel free to state our own examples and our own opinions in that classroom for the learning environment. So it should have a non-attribution in the classroom. So that means whatever you hear in the classroom, you don't need to go blabbing about it outside. If somebody's using specific names in there because they want to talk about an example, Colonel Sherrington said, did this type of leadership style. I'm really this other kind. I do it this way. You don't have to go out and say, Colonel Sherrington does it this way, and Captain Moffitt doesn't like it, so he does it this way. You can go out and say, some officers have leadership style like this, and some officers have one like that. But you don't need to put names and faces to it. That allows us to all speak freely from our past experiences and talk about things that have really happened and be able to get those training points across without being so restricted that we can't really discuss them. There are some restrictions to that, of course. The UCMJ says you can't have disparaging remarks against the President, Vice President, Secretary of Defense, a couple others, Secretary of the Air Force. So in that academic freedom, it doesn't mean that you can start saying, I think the President should be assassinated. That's against the UCMJ, or Uniform Code of Military Justice, against the law, basically. So there are still some restrictions. You still have to be respectful, still have to have customary courtesies, but you should feel free to state your opinion on a matter. Don't try to just say what you think we as the instructor or the cadre want to hear. We're asking for your opinions. We ask you, what do you think service before self is? Tell us what you think service before self is. If that means you're putting your family before a deployment, tell us that's what you think it means. We're not there to try to hook you and kick you out because of it. We're there because we want everybody to get the learning environment and everybody gets that learning point from it. Got it? All right, safety. If you don't graduate, you don't commission. If you're not safe throughout the program, you won't be able to graduate. So don't be doing stupid stuff. Don't go dancing on the tables at Eskimo Joe's, fall and break your leg. Just be safe. If you're being unsafe and you're not contracted and you're not at an official ROTC function, we're not covering that. You're not covered. You're under your own medical coverage, whatever that is. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. But from a safety standpoint, that's got to be number one. If you're not safe, you hurt yourself, you can't graduate, or you can't go to field training if you're not healthy. So you have to be safe. Just put that in the forefront of your mind. We'll do operational risk management for PT, for LLABs, all that. We have to make sure that we're being safe in what we do. Because if you get injured, you can't complete the program. Yes?
I'm not sure if you're going to cover this because I talked to you about this earlier. Just came to my mind. Motorcycles. Is there a certain rule about that for cadets opposed to just every other person on campus?
Yeah, we'll talk about high-risk activities to include motorcycles and skydiving and all that kind of stuff. In a nutshell, if you're doing a high-risk activity, then you need to let one of us know, let your AS instructor know. So for 200s and 300s, it's me, 100s, 400s, it's Colonel Sherrington. So let us know. We have to do some extra forms on you. All the 100s 100s will sign a Form 16 today in class on high-risk activities. Everyone else should already have one. If you don't, if you started up a high-risk activity over the summer or something, let me know so we can complete that paperwork. But for motorcycles, in active duty, you're required to wear a helmet, long sleeves, long pants, over the ankle boots, and gloves. Reflective gear at night, that's on active duty. If you're contracted and you're going to be covered under the Department of Labor, you should still wear all that stuff, because if you don't, they may decide not to cover you. So, all you other guys, you're not bound to wear it, but in the guise of safety, and the fact that you're going to have to wear it anyway, you might as well get used to it. Even in 110-degree weather, you still got to have a helmet on, long sleeves, and gloves, and all those things. So, just get used to it. All right, suicide awareness. The military is big on making sure that everybody's taking care of everybody else. So keep your eyes open for those around you that are getting too stressed out. Sometimes you get close to finals, you got a lot of stress on you, there's a lot of things going on.